Okay, this is another video of the Seahorse Aquarium. This is more on the equipment. I did one already on the inhabitants, a few of which you can see, especially the red feather starfish there in the front. Diamond goby, the sea urchin on the glass, couple firefish. There's a red starfish over to the bottom right hand of the screen. Seahorse kind of hiding there behind the red feather starfish, and a few more in here. There's a couple up on the intake tube of the fluval canister there. This is more on the equipment of the aquarium. For lighting, I use an LED strip. It has a programmed sunrise and sunset and about a 2-hour moonlight cycle after the sun goes down. Seahorses really like the moonlight cycle. They get very active. They're active during the day, but they just seem to like that light. That's the intake there for the fluval. This controller that you see really is a backup controller for my heater and chiller. The heater and chiller, they have their temperature set, but this is also 70 is the target temp. Right now it's 71.4. You may hear the chiller come on soon, although it's maintaining that. It cuts on about 71.8 and then it'll get down to just above 70. But I really didn't, my biggest concern with the cost of the seahorses and the other inhabitants is that I didn't want a heater to fail and cook everything in the tank. So this is kind of my insurance. It's a good controller, not very expensive. The controller next to it is for a power head that I'd used for a wave maker. I'm not using it at the moment. I really like it, but it's I don't have it protected as well as I'd like for the seahorses to not get anything snagged. I did wrap it with some foam and some netting, but I'll probably do a different system. I just don't want to risk it. This is an auto feeder for some flake food that I used for the other fish before I got the seahorses. It puts a little bit in twice a day, but really everything eats the mysis shrimp. They do eat that. The regular fish eat that when it comes down. The bottom feeders really like the flake as well. Of course, everything likes the shrimp. This is the return from the fluval for a spray bar that I use. This is the intake and return on a separate pump for the chiller. Then I have two switches here that I originally got for the lighting that I had. I had two different fixtures that I couldn't program independently through themselves, so I used these. I really don't use them for that now. Because I just use the LED light and I program it. This is the controller here, and then I have a remote that I use to set the programs. This is the chiller. It was not cheap, but worth it for the seahorses. This room stays pretty warm. In wintertime I probably won't have a problem, but it stays around 74, 75 degrees. And I tried some fans on the top of the tank. I had two of them set up actually, and they couldn't keep up. So I decided that a chiller was a good investment for that. Okay, here you can sort of see the pump I use for the chiller. It's a seahorse wrapped around the tube. And the return. You can also see the power head that I have there, sort of with the foam on it. I'm probably going to eliminate that. I have another pump coming that I can set up differently. I don't have to worry about the suction. This one I don't really have to worry about them getting their tails into it, but they do like the current. I just want to make sure that they're protected. And this is the inside of the cabinet. It's the Fluval 306 in back. I have it in a plastic tub, and I have a water alarm next to it in case it were to leak. I would know it, and hopefully not destroy my hardwood floors. I'm not too concerned about it. They have a good reputation. I actually bought a backup fluval filter just in case, because of the cost of the seahorses. If anything were to fail on this, I have another one with all the parts. I could take parts off of, swap the filters completely. I wouldn't be in the middle of the night trying to figure out how I'm going to keep the water circulated and filtered for the fish if something were to happen. So to me, it was worth the cost of another filter to have as a backup. Plus, I've got the spare O-rings, impeller, all the inserts, all the pieces really that are going to need to be replaced on this one periodically anyway. So, and when I added all the costs of those up individually, it was actually less expensive to just buy a second filter. There's my power strip labeled. You can see the remote for the lighting, and that's pretty much it. You can't see the inline heater or the inline UV filter. They're above the fluval filter. And that's pretty much all the equipment that I have. So that's the equipment that I have for my seahorse aquarium. They're only about 5 months old now, about 4 to 5 inches. They should get up to around 8, maybe 9 inches. But it's a very healthy aquarium. I do not do water changes. I've uploaded another video about not doing water changes and why I don't need to. You only need to change the water if you have bad water. If you don't have bad water, there's really no need to, and it doesn't stress the fish out. I have no issues with nitrates, phosphates, ammonia, any of the other eights. Test my water about every 2 weeks. Don't have algae problems. This is the worst that it gets, and it's cleaning day to day anyway. But typically it'll get bad in a few areas, and then the cleanup crew will hit those areas. I really don't have a lot of issues with it. The fish stay healthy, and but you can pull up the other video if you want to see some more on that. And this is my seahorse aquarium.